Part where we start grinding on this, it's like sculpturing. It's kind of fun.
I'm Brian. Join the adventures as I share what I learn restoring a hurricane-damaged catamaran with the dream to sail the world.
I'm here on the back transom of the boat. Here is the back step, and I've got this repair I need to make, and I need to make this repair before I go, because like if there's some water splashing, if it gets a little rough, I don't want to be taking on water. Granted, this is a sealed compartment, but still. So let me get grinded on this. I already pulled all the hardware off. With this and antenna. So let me get this fixed.
This footage was from my Mars trip, and it was really nice at that time because it was cool enough I could wear a Tyvek suit when I was grinding. I just got back from my April trip, and it was already too hot in April to wear a Tyvek suit, and so then I was back in the itchy fiberglass again.
After all that grinding, I think we're ready to start building a mold and repair it. But it's threatening to rain today. It's been raining all morning, so I'm not going to fix that. I'm just going to keep moving on. So let's work on this section here. So we've got some pretty good damage here on the aft section. And so I got to pull this off, fix this thing too, and then whatever damage is up there. So let's get to work.
It's starting to feel really good, like I'm making some progress. With these repairs here, I probably got 90% of the fiberglass work on the boat completed. I probably only have maybe another 90% to go, you know, because it's always the small stuff that just always takes forever. But the majority of the boat is actually put together, and it's pretty waterproof now. So that's great news, and it'll be ready for the trip to Maryland. Unfortunately, I feel like I still have quite a few months of work to do on the boat before I can drive it up to Maryland. And then that's going to put me probably around August that I'll finally get the boat driving up there. And really, I'd like to be driving up there now in April. And so it makes me think, well, should I just put the thing together and get it up there and finish painting it and everything up there? Or should I keep it here another year in Florida and take the summer off, enjoy my summer up in Maryland, and then come back down here next winter and finish it off? So I'm not sure what is the best to do, and we'll just have to see how far I get it. But till then, I'll just keep working on the boat until it gets too warm. There sure would be nice to have it back up at my house. Although you'll find when I am staying here, it is really nice. I'm actually staying right at the boatyard in my RV, and so I can really get a lot done for the short period of time that I am there. This last little section off the back step had a little drop off, so I made a kind of a mold out of filler.
All right, let's see how this little mold turned out. That looks good-ish. All right, not that good. I was hoping that would have settled down and filled all that, but oh well. Let's see how this one turned out. Oh yeah, very nice. Got a little bit, got to grind down, but at least I have a good base. Right now I can build up this whole inside and build that, but let's work on getting this mold in place. Because this guy's a little spacer here, maybe cut a little board to space this guy off. And then that'll be a straight line. It's not that straight of a line though, looking over there. Maybe pull the line off of that side maybe, so I can get that curve, and then I can put that piece right back in here as the curve, and maybe duplicate that curve here, and then I'll fill the inside with either wood or foam or something, and then clay, and get this guy built up. All right, let's see if I can figure out something. Still working on this part on the back transom. I got that piece repaired, that little patch and dried so I could sand it, so now I can build the mold for this. So a little more sanding this morning, and I've got these pieces and I'm gonna put it together.
I'm sure anyone that does professional fiberglass would look at my methods and laugh, but I just find whatever I have laying around and use it to make my molds and use it to push stuff in place, like that board that I found that was from the floor I used to kind of push things over, and duct tape. And then I found this foam that I had. It's actually its third use of styrofoam. I used it first for my CNC as a spoil board underneath, and then I was using it for baffles for my air conditioner that I had set up in the hatch, and now it finds its final resting place as a form for the fiberglass repairs here. And so what I did is I just stuffed them in there, cut them down with a knife, and then sanded them till I could get the shape that I wanted. And then after I had that, I laid a little bit of glass over top. And then what I'll do is, of course, that foam won't get left in there. You can go underneath, and I'll just pull it all out, and then we'll just have a solid piece of fiberglass there. Yeah, my general method with this is because my forms aren't always perfect when I do this. So my general method is to just get one layer of glass down, or maybe 2 layers, and then use that and sand it and actually make that into my form eventually on that layer. I also had trouble getting that when it wrapped around, and so I tried several things and ended up just slapping a piece of foam on there and clamping it. I also had these repairs to do that I sanded out. This is where the arch sits. One of these spots is not going to get a post back in it. It'll just get turned back into deck. And that's where the air generator was, or the wind generator. And I'm not going to have a wind generator on the boat. At least, probably not. And then, of course, back to this little area. After I sanded down that filler that I had made the little form with, it turned out pretty good. And I was able to just lay the glass right on top of that. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on here. So last night, as it's getting dark, I put on a bunch of this really thick filler, shoved a bunch of fiberglass into it, and kind of built this up a little bit. The filler that I used, I put a bunch of chopped fiber in it. I don't know if you can see that, but that'll make this pretty strong. And this will kind of be like the core, because I'll put a couple layers on top of this, but I want to get this back into shape where it looks good and put a couple layers of glass on top. This here again is the sculpting part of the job, and it's actually quite enjoyable as you just get it just perfect right into the right shape and use the correct sander for the right thing, and just bringing it back into shape. It's kind of fun. All right, got this thing sanded down. I think it's looking pretty good. Just need to put some glass on it and see how it turns out. When you have a structure, or a composite structure, or for that matter, any structure that's under stress, the part that takes the strain is the outsides of it. So like if you've got a beam, the top part is under compression and the bottom part is under tension as it bends, and the part in the middle is under shear, and it also has less stress than the outsides. And so if you can fill and put your fairing on, that is going to end up in the middle. And so that's my plan with this. So all the fairing that I did goes in the middle of the repair. And so then we put all the strength layers of glass on the outside, which will need very little fairing on it. And then from underneath, when we bond it back together, it'll get additional layers on the inside. And so that part that we built for the form of the fairing is just the inside of that that ends up sandwiched in between the 2 layers, and it makes it the strongest. Now, if you put all your glass on first, roughly, and just throw it on, and then you have to do a bunch of fairing on the top to make it actually fair, you're going to end up with a lot weaker structure that will end up cracking on the surfaces. Right, so the next morning, looking at this repair on the transom that I did late last night, looks like it turned out pretty good. One of the things I did is I put an extra layer on the top that didn't wrap, so that's why you see this kind of coming loose like that. So that way I can grind this flat across there and increase the radius of this without grinding into the layers. So there's a little thing that I do. But anyway, I think it looks okay. And you know, it's built up a little bit over, and this is way down, you know, because this only gets cut like this tall here. Basically grind this into the correct shape. Let's start carving. This is like sculpturing. It's kind of fun. It just takes just a little bit of sanding and it's back exactly where it needs to be. And so you're not sanding off a whole bunch of layers of glass. And you can see it turned out pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty original. So it'll get its final fairing on there and some high build primer, and we'll be back in business.
I need a little shade, so here is my 5-minute shelter I rigged up. It's 5-minute shelter not because it takes 5 minutes to rig up, but because it takes 5 minutes before it blows down. All right, should be the shade. Let me grind this.
When I'm starting the repair, I always start small and take out just as much material as I need.
You may think you just have a little crack that you start to grind out, but you got to really watch the core, because sometimes the core will shear. I don't know if you can see that in there. Or you see where it's kind of dirty, or you see this where it'll shear sideways. It's hard to see. Anyway, you got to make sure that you're dealing with clean core all the way through with no cracking. See, even there's a little crack. So you gotta just make it wider until you can get a clean core. Otherwise, you're just covering up the problem. All right, back to grinding. Yeah, it just got a lot bigger. So one thing, I was able to push down at the edge and notice that it was a little D-lam. And so I just cut out a big piece, and you can see exactly where the D-lam followed through here. Because got sand and dirt and crap in there. So that's just important that you don't miss that stuff. All this is all solid. But like this one here, we're good here. Yeah, so that's still all laminated in there good. If you remember my friend Jeff, boat right over there with the teal stripe on it, from a previous episode. Anyways, he put on this great barbecue today out here at the boatyard, so I didn't get too much done, but I was able to finish this guy off. I wanted to get it in glass today, but that's gonna have to be tomorrow. So I've got new core, and now remember, this was just that little crack, but I have to pull out all the core where it delaminated. So anywhere there's delamination, keep making it wider till you get solid core, and there it is. Put the foam in, and then just put a little filler on top, or it's really the thickened epoxy. So then I'll come back and grind this flat, put the glass on it.
I think this is at the point where that Harbor Freight sander of mine died and I couldn't get it started. So I had to switch back to my little 5-inch sander. And I found I've really started to like, I wish I would have discovered it a lot earlier in this project. I really like that 8-inch sander. That thing is great for leveling. So I had to go back to my belt sander and go back to my 5-inch sander. But this part, so much of this is just all about sculpturing. If you've done any drywall work or body work on cars, it's kind of the same thing. You're just kind of build it up and figure out how to get it back flat and get it back fair again. And it just takes practice. The nice thing is, just like doing drywall work, if you screw it up, you just put some more on and start again. So there's this guy at the boatyard who has this I think it's a 36-foot trawler that he got as kind of a fixer-upper. He had big dreams, and it was his dream to take this thing out and use it. And I talked to him for quite a while, and he was all excited about fixing it up and everything, but he just wasn't the fix-it-up type of person, right? So if you look at a boat project like this, right, you don't really need to know what you're doing, right? You can figure it out. You can learn it. There's lots of YouTube videos. People think I'm an expert on fiberglass. I didn't know anything about fiberglass hardly when I started, right? I had only some experiments that I did before this. So all this I've learned as I've done the project. And so you can take on any project like this. But the one thing that you do need is you do need to enjoy it. Right? If you don't like building stuff, if you don't enjoy making stuff, doing that, you just want the end result and you want it cheap, and so then you're going to get a fixer-upper or whatever, that's a mistake. If you enjoy working on things, right? If you enjoy it, it doesn't matter what your knowledge level is or what your skill level is, you'll succeed, right? You just have to stick at it and you'll learn how to do it and you can do a good job. But if you don't enjoy it, you're just trying to get a cheap job, it's not that great. And here I went back to Harbor Freight, and fortunately they replaced the sander and I was back in business. And here I'm just leveling this out and getting this fair again. As then I'm going to put a little bit of fairing on it. And you can mix your own fairing, but I found I really like the total fair. And so I do kind of a mix, and sometimes I will make my own, but it's a lot easier to use the total fair. It just mixes up, you can see it, and it goes on very smooth and sands really nice, and so it's a great product. Well, another beautiful day here, middle of April in Maryland, and I'm really wishing I had a sailboat here. I thought, you know what'd be perfect is for cruising, just day sails out here. Because I mean, when I get my boat done, my big boat done, my Antares done, I'm gonna go cruising all around, right? That's more for big trips, but just for day sails and stuff. An F-27 Corsair Trimaran, and I'd love to have one of those. So if you have any leads on one of those, let me know. It's still 2022, and you have a lead on one of those, let me know, because I'd love to get one of those out here. It'd be great. I've got a whole bunch of videos coming up from when I worked on the engine. I'm super excited to show you all the work. I filled up a whole memory card. I've never done that before. I filled up a whole memory card just on the engine rebuild. And so if you got any interest in diesel engines or for a sailboat, lots of good stuff on that to show you what to do, and hopefully not too much that you shouldn't do. But we'll find out if it makes it up here. So lots of stuff, and I'm headed back down in one more week. I'll be back down in Florida. Probably by the time this comes out, I'll already be back down there, and we'll get some more stuff done because I got to get this boat up here. So no matter what your dreams are, until next time, remember, live your dreams.